Annyeonghaseyo, welcome to the Land of Korean Cinema. You know, one of the reasons I fell in love with Korean movies was because Koreans seem to always try to create something original. Such is the case with today's movie, so let's talk about Alienoid, or 외계+인 일부. The movie stars Ryu Joon-yeol, Kim Woo-bin, and Kim Tae-ri. Aliens are locking up their criminals in human bodies for centuries without people knowing it. The story takes place in two separate timelines, one in the 12th century and one in the present. Kim Woo-bin plays an alien guard who captures and guards the alien criminals. When he travels back to the 12th century to capture another, his robot sidekick saves a little girl and brings her back to the present with them. But soon trouble arises both in the present and the past, and somehow it's all connected. If there's one thing I can say about this movie is that it's very ambitious. If this script landed in Hollywood, it would have been immediately rejected. There are so many moving parts, so many characters, so many little threads you need to pay attention to, Hollywood would have instantly said no. Not to mention the mixing of genres. It's a sci-fi fantasy film mixed with martial arts elements and CGI robot fights, with a healthy dose of comedy on top of it. It's a very ambitious project. And this is where I have to give praise to writer and director Choi Dong-hoon, because he's somehow able to keep everything together. I never felt like I couldn't follow the plot, I never felt like the movie loses its focus despite it being a mix of pretty much everything. The director clearly had a vision and he knew how to execute it. But I'm sure a lot of people will find this movie confusing. If you don't like movies you can't put into one specific genre, stay away from this movie. In 1 minute it's a historical comedy, in the next it's a Chinese-influenced martial arts movie mixed with some sort of magic. And then it's a sci-fi movie with aliens and robots. And it's 140 minutes long. It's a lot and it's not for everybody for sure. Speaking of the martial arts elements, I was very surprised to see the influence of such movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You know, people flying over the rooftops and are able to jump extremely high and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily a fan of this kind of stuff, and I certainly did not expect to see this in a Korean flick, and yet, here we are. Thankfully it's not overdone, and there are so many other things to appreciate here. One is definitely Kim Woo-bin's performance. He must have had a blast filming this movie, he portrays many different kinds of characters. I'm not gonna tell you why and how, but he was a joy to watch in this movie for sure. And just overall the performances are really good. I especially enjoyed the humor, and it's all thanks to the writing and the performances. I also don't mind the mixing of genres. I think if you wanna make something unique nowadays, mixing genres is pretty much the way to go. And Koreans are great at it. Like I said, I never thought this movie was disjointed because there's an overarching story and everything is connected to that. I also like that the movie gives you just enough information in the beginning to pull you in, but leaves a lot of questions open for a long time. So the movie keeps you guessing because you know the overall framework of the story, but the details remain blurry for quite a long time, which helps to keep the intrigue in the movie. And I was pretty impressed by the CGI too. At least in the first half. If there was one weakness of Korean cinema, it was the CGI, but I'm noticing a major improvement over the last few years. With that said, the movie does go overboard with it around halftime. A lot of CGI stuff is happening in broad daylight and it really doesn't help. It took me out of the movie a little bit. Adding to that, there's a CGI robot fight that happens, and suddenly the movie felt like a mindless superhero flick, which I really wasn't fond of. Suddenly the movie turned into a typical Hollywood blockbuster, and I really didn't like that. And just overall, I think the movie is a bit too ambitious for its own good. It tries to do so much, and although it succeeds in a lot of ways, in other ways it doesn't. And I wanted so much more of Kim Tae-ri in this movie. I mean, technically she's in the movie a lot, if you saw it you know what I mean. But I really like her, and I wanted to see more of her. As the movie was reaching its end, I was very conflicted as to how I would rate this. I enjoyed so many things about it, but there were other things that didn't work for me at all. And then the ending happened and I was really frustrated. Do you know how it ends? It ends with, "To be continued." 140-minute long movie and it doesn't have closure. I mean, this ain't freaking Lord of the Rings, you know? If I knew that, I wouldn't have even watched it. I would have waited for the sequel to come out. So as of now, this movie is very much a mixed bag for me. Because I didn't get closure, I'm gonna give Alienoid 67%. With that said, I very much appreciate the director's ambition and vision. I know he was striving to create something unique and original, and that's something to appreciate. And he did succeed in a lot of ways. If the sequel is going to be good, I think I'm going to see this movie in a very different light. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe, and if you feel like supporting the channel even more, my PayPal link is in the description. 다음 시간에 만나요 여러분. 안녕히 계세요.